the 2023 Global Fashion Summit just concluded in Copenhagen last month in June. After hours of reflection and going through my notes, here are the major challenges I see as to why sustainability in fashion is still stalling and not progressing fast enough. Some of these things may be obvious to some of you, but may not be obvious to some. And so here are my 2 cents or 5 of what I think the major challenges are when it comes to fashion sustainability and advancing the sustainability goals within the fashion industry. The first major challenge I can see is how the globalization of the fashion industry makes it hard for the logistics of the industry. If you think about the carbon emissions just from shipping and manufacturing alone of our fashion apparel, it becomes harder to keep up with the goal if just delivering sustainable goods to the consumer is also a carbon heavy endeavor. 2, how interconnected and intertwined the fashion industry is with other industries. If you think about fashion, just the fabric, you have to think about the farmers or the producers, the farmers who might produce cotton or linen or flax. You have to think about the petrochemical industries or petrochemical manufacturing that produce the synthetic fabrics. You have to think about the pesticides that go into farming, and you have to think about the dyes, the chemicals that go into the dyeing process. Also mining, if you think about the metal that goes into your zippers and the closures. So all these industries are so interconnected, and it's so hard to follow up and to account for every bit of sustainability through the supply chain because it's so vast and interconnected and it's hard to keep up with it. That's a major challenge. And to press further on that interconnectedness, or the third challenge would be how fragmented and segmented this industry is. So if you think about sustainability, it's not only about environmental sustainability. We have to think about the human cost and human capital that goes into producing our fashion apparel. So if we think about better wage systems, it is hard for us to follow up on the sustainability side of wages when the industry is so segmented and it's so fragmented, and there is so many loopholes that producers can take not to fulfill the obligation of paying the workers a fair wage. So that in itself is also a challenge in making sure that the sustainability of our apparel is not only environmentally sustainable, but also socially and economically sustainable. The fourth challenge that I can identify when it comes to fashion sustainability is that producers are not required to think about secularity or incorporate secularity within their business. And although the EU has made considerable strides in putting down policies that require fashion producers maintain standards and report on their sustainability efforts, that may not really be the case for the rest of the world. So if there isn't a comprehensive extended producer responsibility policy in place, I'm afraid none of the fashion producers are going to see the need to be sustainable, especially if sustainability is going to cost them more. I would like to add that extended producer responsibility is so important because then we will be thinking about the circularity of the fashion industry and working towards mitigating the waste issue that is plaguing a whole lot of countries, especially the countries in the global south. This last one, I think, is the most egregious, the biggest challenge of all, and that is overconsumption. Many of us from time to time have been guilty of retail therapy, or even at one point in our lives described shopping as a hobby. And unfortunately, this practice has fed into our addiction for cheap clothing and also has distorted our perception of what value and quality actually means. Let's not forget that our consumption, or rather our overconsumption of this cheaply produced clothing, keep the producers in business. And in fact, it encourages them to overproduce these fashion apparels that we really don't need, most of which end up in landfills as unsold stock, or they might find their way into markets that are still developing and thereby completely disabling the local fashion ecosystem. So our overconsumption and our addiction to fast fashion really is a big challenge when it comes to achieving those sustainability goals that are so necessary in making sure that we reach our Earth goals. So there you have it. Those are the 5 challenges, or at least in my opinion, the 5 major challenges that are making it hard for us to achieve global sustainability in fashion. Let me know what you think down in the comments, and I'll see you on the next one.